We are grateful for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. We have been listening to the previous transmissions and questions and conversation. Perhaps we may add to the conversation or answer more questions. But we would like to open with delivering our message, because this is our first time speaking to this group through this vessel. We are here to share our awareness of your current experiences and offer our advice in order to make your maneuvering of your experience more easily attainable for you, so that you don't feel as though you are becoming overwhelmed with the numerous pieces of information that you all will receive from various different resources. We encourage all of you, as most other messages do, to maintain your sense of being present in the moment and not allowing your attentions to focus outside of your present moment, because this information that you are receiving outside of your presence is not beneficial to you. It is simply a source of anxiety. It is a source of speculation. It is a source of, as you say, conspiracy theory. We encourage you to allow yourself to receive the information that you are meant to receive. When you go outside of your guidance, you may seek other information and you may receive other information, but it will not benefit you. It may inhibit your growth, your consciousness expansion, because you are now leaving your most beneficial direction of travel on your path. We want you to understand that we are the tall whites. We are excited to be able to connect with you through this vessel. As we said earlier, this is our first time connecting through this vessel. And we are excited to be able to expand our reach, to be able to reach more humans and share information with you to help you cope with your questions, perhaps a bit of anxiety, wonderment, curiosity regarding what is happening in the great shift of your energy on your earth. We understand that there have been many stories created, and it is confusing understanding which ones to believe. We just ask you to trust your intuition, to trust your inner guidance, as it will take you to the correct place of understanding. We have been working with the human race for many, many decades, and we have worked in many different facets of your existence, from your government to your individual souls, as needed, as required, because we have a job to do, and our job is to interact with the humans. It is to achieve certain goals that we are assigned, and it is to coordinate efforts with your race in order to expand consciousness and offer benefits to all sides. We are not here for a war. We are not here for anything negative. We are here to obtain information and to share information. And we work willingly with those who will allow us to become a part of their existence. It is not for us to decide who to contact. It is something that we are given. Our information is provided to us, such as a task list, as you might look at it. And we are sent to accomplish these goals with various humans, various parties, various groups on your planet. And we work not only in your three-dimensional aspect. Not all the time. We pop in and out of your dimension. It is not possible for us to remain constantly. But we do remain when we need to in order to communicate with others, in order to offer our knowledge or ask questions of your race so that we may attempt to understand your beliefs, your reasoning. We are very prone to think in a very linear fashion. We have a job to do. This is how it is to be performed, and we do it. So it is interesting for us to question the humans as to how their minds process different thoughts, different tasks, because our thought processes are different. We are more data-driven. We are more, again, linear. So it is interesting for us to see this information and how the human processing works. We have been present recently with your race. We are still working with numerous humans on your planet in various capacities, gathering information, sharing information. Our presence is always secretive. There are pieces of information that have been shared from decades ago that you may or may not have seen. There are people who have spoken out against the advisement of their superiors to share their experiences with us, and they are absolutely true. Many of them are no longer incarnate on your planet. Many of them have passed from age. Some have not. Some have, as you call it, disappeared because their message was not to be shared, and that was not our doing. That was the humans' doing. So there are a lot of mixed cases of occurrences surrounding our presence with the incarnates on your earth. We are willing to answer some questions as we are allowed. So please feel free to ask your questions, and we will share with you what we are able to share.
My question is, through my development as this version of myself on this planet, I'm assuming that you have been involved in that process on the ships, because it seems to be that the Greys are the ones that come and collect me and bring me back, and you have a role to play in that as well. So that as the backdrop, my question is simply this: what fear am I hanging on to that is preventing me from being more connected when I'm channeling your messages or from other beings?
You still contain a fear of what others will think of you, what others will say about you if they discover your secret. You still feel as if you must operate under somewhat of a cloak. Although you have allowed yourself to be seen, you are still cautious about with whom you share what you do. When you are able to sit down at a table with anyone, anywhere, at any time, no matter the relation to you or not, and openly say what you do, this will dissolve that egoic fear that you carry. It is simply that you are very excited about what you do, and you are slowly dissolving that egoic fear, but it is still what you cling to. There is a small thread of it that is still holding you back because it's difficult for your mind to accept that this is real, although you know it is, but it is still a human struggle that you have. And you still have a bit of fear about consequences. Perhaps you may be afraid that a certain person may judge you. That is purely human. That is purely your conscious programming your limiting beliefs. You have the ability to release that. You've had the work done. It is simply a matter of your being able to accept it, which will come in time. Don't allow impatience to hinder your forward movement. It will not stop you, as you were told in the past. The channel will deliver what it delivers. You do not have a filter that you think you have. You may pop out of channel if you feel strongly that there will be something delivered that may upset somebody. But we ask you, why would that matter? Because if somebody is attending a channeling and asks a question, why would they not want the truth? Do you fear that they may not like what they hear? But that is not something that should concern you, because that is not your business. If a human asks a channeled entity a question, as you have seen with other vessels who channel, they will deliver the truth. And although the questioner may hesitate when they hear the truth because it may be shocking to them, or they may not believe that they're going to get the truth, but our purpose is to deliver the truth. We do not feel it is beneficial for us to use our energy to move through your bodies and speak through your bodies to deliver falsehoods. So be kind with yourself. You have been raised in a culture that judges. You have been programmed by groups of people that will ridicule you if you are different than what they believe is proper. As your spirituality expands, your consciousness expands, you know in your heart that that is not the way it is supposed to be. So you are able to slowly shed these beliefs. But you have to understand that they were programmed into you for many years, and they are deeply ingrained in your psyche. So shedding them is not a matter of an instantaneous snap of the fingers and they are gone. That is possible, but your belief has to be that they are gone. And that is what many humans struggle with. They know deep down that that belief has been released or that tie has been severed, but they still have struggles with releasing the idea that the thought is no longer a part of their existence.
Thank you. I appreciate that and understand exactly what it is you're saying. Um, in my mind, the fear wasn't as deep as that. It was more of, what happens if somebody asks a question, you can't pull an answer in, or your answer doesn't come, or there's a blank, and that would affect your credibility to be able to help that individual by being an open channel. In other words, I understand that my role is to just be open and allow through what comes through, and the responsibility of the message is retained by the being that's channeling through to serve the person that has come to ask the questions. But if there's a blank, I'm stuck in the middle, and that's the fear that I'm conscious of. I wasn't really consciously aware of what you just said, so that makes a lot of sense. But I still have that other fear, so now I've got two to work on.
Well, think about it this way. When you plug an electrical cord into the outlet, does it say, oh, this power is being delivered to a light on a tree? We don't want to do that, so we're not going to send any power. Think of your channeling the same way. When your entity is sharing information through your vessel, and the entity perhaps may not know an answer, but you have experienced this in the past where they will say, we do not have an answer for you. They may have bits and pieces of information and share that so that the questioner may put together information to form their own conclusion. But most of the time, the entity is able to access some source of information that will allow that person's question to be answered. It is not often that a question goes unanswered. But again, you are simply a an electrical cord allowing the energy to move through your body. What the energy does is not your concern. That may inhibit your ability to channel other beings. It's really not an issue for you because, as you see, you are able to channel multiple beings, but that belief may shut down communication from someone that you perhaps wish to speak with and can't because of that limiting belief blocking that connection for you. It's simply a matter of working through it in your mind and allowing yourself to understand that there are no expectations from anybody who is listening to your channel. You may have expectations, but that is a control issue that you must work on, because surrender and allow is what will give you the most freedom and the most information through your channel. And you know that surrender means no expectation, no belief that this or that will happen, and no belief that this will or will not be answered. That is not your concern. The entities have higher knowledge. They're from a higher dimension. They can see things that you may not be able to see. So they will understand the question before you're even channeling them. So perhaps that outlook will help clarify that forward movement for you. Just remember, these entities are from higher dimensions. They are all knowing, all seeing. If the person asking the question is not able to receive the answer, as you have been told, you're not ready for it, that is what will be stated to them.
Understood. And that explanation has been very helpful, but it also helped me just realize I had a false belief system, which was the beings that are coming through are connected, but they're not perfect either, in the sense that they have all knowledge at all times. They must go and seek repositories or other beings that they can get information from. Would that be a
That is
true
correct.
statement? Yeah.
That is absolutely true. They are no different from your highly gifted incarnates, the psychics that can tap into other energy, other information, the healers that can tap into energy and heal. We are all beings of the God spark, and we all have our different abilities. However, when we come from different dimensions, the higher dimensionality will allow more seeing and more knowing to be shared. And also understand that all of this is orchestrated. Before this happened this evening, everything was already created because of the unconscious thoughts, the soul connection for the experience desired for that incarnate. As you know, say you were in a physical room with all of these attendees. That room would not exist until you all thought about it collectively and created it, because it's not just an empty room sitting somewhere waiting for you to show up. You're in an energetic world. It is the hologram. It is none of this exists until we collectively create it. So without getting too complex with the metaphysics of it, it is all energy, and energy can be moved around to be what it needs to be at that moment in time.
Thank you.
Hopefully that did not add confusion. We don't want to get into deep quantum physics, but that is a simple explanation
No, it makes
of
perfect
the
sense.
energy movement.
No, it makes perfect sense. So, as a example, anything that we were once involved with, say a company that no longer exists, it existed at the time for the purpose that it did because everybody's collectively working on that or thinking about that or having thought form around that. But once it served its purpose, the thought forms were then moved someplace else. As people scattered their thoughts and moved off into the vast wilderness, so to speak, and then what that once was collapsed because nobody was thinking about it as a useful entity anymore. Would that be a
Exactly.
analogy?
But everything is happening simultaneously. If you have ever listened to a person who has had a death experience, who has experienced the life review, they explain it best as they tell you that they are seeing everything happening at the same time. However, they are able to experience each moment of it individually. So it is as if they are in a 360-degree view theater and everything is happening at the same time, but they can hone in on or focus on one instance or one moment and experience that moment. And then everything again is still moving. So they can pop into any moment to receive the experience that they need to receive for that life review to be conclusive of all the things that they needed to learn. So it's, again, without getting complex, everything is happening right here, right now. It depends on where your focus is, which I believe you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yes, but you are focusing on this moment in this time at
Right.
this specific crossroad to see this experience because your soul has requested to learn that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And now it has been achieved, and now you will move on to the next experience.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that assistance. Does anybody else in the group have any questions for this wonderful tall white?
I would definitely love to throw a question, and it's a very specific one. I would like to know if you're still inhabiting the desert ranges in southern Nevada.
I am not. There are other beings of my species that are there. They are as well underground, under mountain ranges. They are in several different places. There are even some that exist on the backside of your moon. There are numerous species that inhabit your moon. There are numerous species that inhabit your Earth, both subterranean and at the higher elevations of your mountains that are not accessible by humans without use of a helicopter, a drone, or something like that.
And I did read about someone who you guys were calling the teacher. His name is actually Charles James Hall, who is in contact with the tall whites in this desert between what the years 1964 to 1967 in our human years. And of course, now in the beginning, he was very frightened, but then he overcome his fear and he had a ton of knowledge gathered from the tall whites. My question is, was this a one-off event, or if someone would like to get in touch with the tall whites and have some questions and whatnot, is there a way of getting in touch with the tall whites?
You are not believing you are in touch with a tall white at this time?
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in my own private time, when there's no one to channel, would I ever be able to have a discussion with a tall white without someone channeling?
It is possible for you to reach out in your meditative state. It will take high levels of focus on your part, and it will probably be challenging. But if you are able to focus, you may be able to communicate. However, we caution you, if you attempt to control the conversation, meaning you ask to speak to a specific entity, you will learn from this group that that is not a beneficial way to channel, because you are then placing an expectation, which is then human control. So you're not surrendering control, you are doing the opposite. and you may not get who you expect. There is it is more important for you to understand that you will be able to speak with who you are supposed to speak with without trying to control. We would not suggest you do it. You may request it in meditation, but again, you must remain in high vibration, because if you put yourself in a low vibrational state, you will attract low vibrational energy, which could be dangerous for you. So we would encourage you to simply allow that when it is time for us to communicate, that you would have questions ready. But we would not encourage you to create a scenario where you say, I am going to communicate with this being or that being, unless it is a regular occurrence for you, such as some of these channelers speak to a specific entity, such as Daryl Anka speaks to Bashar. He may call Bashar because they have that relationship. But to generically call an unknown entity to speak with would not be advisable. But you may try to reach them in meditation, but it is questionable as to whether you will be able to make it work. But it is not advisable for you to try to control who comes through.
I understand. Thank you. Thank you.
And as far as Charles Hall, there were 2 documentaries created. Walking with the Tall Whites was the first one, made in the, I believe, or 1980s. And there was recently a second one released, which slightly expands on the message of the first one. You may want to see if those will allow you to have your questions answered, because they were quite extensive with the information that they shared. There's also information out there from other military members that have made communication with the Tall Whites that may be of interest to you. I am certain it is available openly on your internet. Just make sure it is from a credible source and not something that someone created with your artificial intelligence for entertainment purposes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Do you have any other advice for the group in regards to the months ahead? I'm slightly recalling when I was channeling the Tall Grays earlier, talking about the times will become a lot more tumultuous, and how we can, walk through that period of time. Is there any other advice you have, or any more information along those lines you could share with us that would be beneficial?
We would like to advise you all to remember that what you concentrate on, you will experience. If you choose to be a part of the chaos in the political climate, it is not advisable, but you are able to do so with your free will. So we urge you to focus your energy on what you would like to experience, on what brings you joy, on what brings you enjoyment, happiness, fulfillment. Again, staying in your present moment is important. They are all spiritual basics that humans must understand are integral for you to be able to experience your highest and best good. But if you choose to allow yourself to be dragged into the chaos of the earth, whether it's political or environmental or any other human caused scenario, we urge you to consider that if it doesn't directly concern you, to avoid it. You don't have to watch your media coverage. You're not going to miss anything. Your life isn't going to change if you don't know about this battle or that war or this conflict or this person hating that person. It's not going to affect you. There's no need for you to have to know about it unless you choose to, which again is your choice. We do encourage you that collectively, when you focus on the negative, you feed it that negative energy and it becomes more prevalent in your existence. So if you focus your energy on somewhere beneficial, such as expanding consciousness or ending a hateful trait, such as your human trafficking or your child abuse or your animal abuse. Focus your energy where it is needed, not where your curiosity takes you. Because does that really serve any purpose for you to know what's going on between two political candidates? You may say it matters to you, but it really doesn't. Look at the big picture. Look at it from the 360-degree bird's eye view. You can look down at the situation and you can see that soul chose that experience. Therefore, it is having that experience. That soul chose that experience. Therefore, it is having that experience. You may send love and compassion and blessings, which you should, but you don't have to involve yourself in another soul's personal choices or personal experiences. It is somewhat like being nosy. If somebody chooses to experience being a political person who has a conflict or becomes assassinated or anything else, their soul chose that experience. It is not for you to say, oh, well, I have to do something about that. Why? What is it you're going to do? Be mad? Have anxiety? Stress yourself out? For what purpose? So think about it from a higher spiritual perspective and allow yourselves to be the best example of a human that you can be. Live with integrity, live with honesty, be willing to help, be a good member of your community, be willing to share your knowledge and your wisdom, because you all have an amount of wisdom and experience and knowledge that others do not have with your spiritual expansion, your channeling, your being able to communicate with each other in the manner that you do. Know that you're here for a purpose. This isn't a random gathering. You're here because you're learning information that will allow you to share it with others to help them drop their fear and drop their anxiety and be able to understand. There are new members of this group coming in monthly, which are people that did not have exposure to this channeling until then. Look how they have grown since they have been with this group. So allow yourselves to concentrate on that as opposed to what the news is telling you is happening. Because most of the things they tell you are happening aren't happening the way they tell you anyway, because they want to sensationalize it. And that is what gets you angry. And that is what causes division. Division on your planet is the last thing you need at this time. You need to be cohesive in a community together. And you need to be as one, as you all are, one of the God spark, the creator energy. Back to basics is where you need to start.
My last question is, we're all collectively working on being in the present moment and catching ourselves when our minds are adrift and coming back to the present moment. It's something that I catch myself more frequently throughout my days. So as an example, if I go walking with my dog, I catch myself daydreaming about things that have, some impact in my life, whether it have to do with work or a past event that I'm replaying. And I catch myself and I realize, focus on the environment. What's the sky look like? Look at your lovely dog. What's he doing right now? How's he enjoying himself? How are you enjoying yourself in this moment with your friend? Is there any advice you have in terms of other techniques to remain in the present moment more frequently, as opposed to just randomly catching ourselves and developing that muscle memory?
Yes, pay attention to small details in your surroundings. Notice the bird in the tree. When you hear a bird's song, trace its origin. Where is that bird located? Look at him, see what he looks like. Identify him. Absorb yourself in thoughts like that. Notice the flower. What type of flower is that? Oh, it's a beautiful color. Oh, the butterfly is coming to land on the flower. Because as you open yourself up to notice these details, you will notice a lot more. Think of the video of your backyard, of the energy beings in your backyard. It would be very easy to watch that video and just see the bugs flying from left to right. However, when you focus in on the video, you'll notice the entity standing to the right. You'll notice different movement. You'll notice different lights blinking. But most people will look at that video and only see the immediate movement of the bugs left to right. And that is a common issue with humans. There is a training video that this vessel was exposed to in their police academy. It was a circle of people with a ball, and they are told to watch the ball, keep their eye on the ball. And the people in the circle are holding the ball, bouncing it, throwing it to the person across from them. And it is an exercise that continues where they are told to focus on the ball. There are people that focus on the ball so deeply, they don't notice a man in a gorilla suit walks through the circle of people because they are so deeply focused on the ball, and they completely miss the gorilla walking through the circle. It is a very obvious, it is a man in a suit walking through a circle, but yet the vessel missed it because focus on the ball was what was ordered, and focus on the ball is what was done. And then after the video was rewatched, oh, now I've removed my focus from the ball, I can see the gorilla. But that shows you how we are able to, as beings of all types, focus our attention on something and miss everything else around it. So perhaps you are walking outdoors and you are having a conversation. You're going to be highly focused on that conversation, and you're not going to notice things around you. Remember your 9/11 attacks. You have watched videos and seen people on the phone, and an airplane flies above their head and crashes into a building. But because they're on the phone, until the noise hits them, they don't notice it's happening. That is a pretty big detail to miss. But that is how the human focus can be so laser tight that it will allow you to miss everything going on around you.
Is that laser type focus that's conducive to our species a benefit in certain situations?
It is actually not specific to your species. It is something that all beings encounter if they allow their mind to be distracted. But it is a survival mechanism, because in the days when the humans were hunted for food, they had to put their eye on the predator and keep their focus on the predator so that they did not become the prey. And it is simply a trait of evolution that has not left. And the addition of your technology has brought it back in force because of the addictive nature of the phone conversation, or the looking at the screen of the phone, or being focused on the information in the phone as opposed to what is going on in the real world.
Mm. Thank you very much for that. Does the group have any other questions you'd like to ask at this time?
One last question, if I may. And my question is, do you see any value in the ability of multitasking? And also, as a species, are you able to multitask?
That is a very good question. Let me contemplate a moment. For the humans, it has been proven that multitasking is not possible successfully. There have been tests of a human being placed behind the wheel of a car on a closed course, and they were given a phone and told to text or have a conversation on the phone, and they were to operate the vehicle through an obstacle course, and it contained large foam balls that were bigger than the car. And as the person was having the conversation on the phone, there were people that would roll the large ball in front of the car. And most of the time, the human did not see the ball in time to avoid it and ended up hitting it. And it was just an interesting experiment that was provided to prove to humans that they cannot successfully multitask for something like driving a car. Now, you may watch television and eat at the same time. But again, you're not focusing on one or the other. So if you're watching television and eating, you are mindlessly shoveling food in your mouth and not being conscious of your food. Or if you're concentrating on the meal, you are not paying attention to the television show. So you are not going to be able to fully grasp what is happening on the television show. You may have fleeting glimpses of it, but you're not going to get the full story of it. So full focus on multitasks is not possible with the human brain. The difference in the energetic makeup of an extraterrestrial being from an incarnate human is going to be what will create a difference. I do believe, because this has never been posed to me before, of an extraterrestrial, I do believe it will be a similar scenario where the focus will be on the task, but the other extra tasks attempting to be done will be done haphazardly or not with the full attention or the full quality that they would be completed with had the focus been on the task. So I believe it is a challenge that plagues all entities, unless they are of just energy. An energetic being can do multiple things at once because it's an energy being, not an incarnate being with a dense energy. That would be my deduction.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when the short grays come to take me to the ships, they're not having a snack at the same time.
They are
focused on
not.
the
They are
task.
focused on their task because they have an assigned task and they are very dedicated to their mission.
Mhm.
So they will not be sidetracked as humans are often. They will focus on, we have been told to do this task and this is how it is to be done and this is what we will do. If it is unable to be completed, then they will wait for if they don't have an instruction as to what to do, they will try to complete that task until they are given other information.
Understood. If there are no other questions from the group, we'd like to thank you as the Tall Whites for coming through this evening, for sharing your wisdom with us, and we're appreciative.
We are appreciative of your conversation with us and your curiosity, and we hope that we have been able to answer your questions to your satisfaction, and we hope to communicate with you again.